At first, it looks like a bruise on the horizon. Then the bruise rises, widens, and begins moving toward you faster than any man can walk. You have minutes. Soon there will be no road, no sun, no distance, and almost no difference between the sky and the ground beneath your boots. This is the Central Sahara in the 1930s, during a survey journey built on paper maps, magnetic bearings, measured fuel, and carefully guarded water. There is no satellite signal. A wireless set may be hundreds of miles from help. If the route disappears, rescue may not even know where to begin. The first warning is not the sand. It is the wind changing character, steady air becoming uneven, then striking in hard, dry pulses. The blue above the horizon turns yellow, then copper. Distant landmarks flatten. What was a mountain becomes a shadow, and the shadow begins to vanish. A sand and dust storm forms when strong, turbulent winds lift loose material from dry ground. Not every storm is a haboob, but every dense wall can blind you. The cinematic myth is that a traveler is swallowed in seconds. The real danger is usually quieter: blindness, collision, separation, damaged lungs, and one fatal direction error. Coarse grains race close to the ground, stinging exposed skin. Finer dust hangs higher, enters every opening, and can remain in the air long after the gusts weaken. Your first survival decision is also the least dramatic. Stop moving before visibility reaches zero. Distance is no longer progress when direction has disappeared. Panic tells you to outrun the wall. But a person on foot cannot beat a storm front, and a driver moving blind can turn shelter into a weapon. The expedition marks its position, sets the brake, and keeps the vehicle stable, using its solid leeward side as shelter only when the ground is firm. Then comes the second rule: nobody separates. A person can disappear at arm's length when the dust becomes thick enough. A rope is fixed to the shelter and passed between hands, never around the neck. Voices answer in order. One missing reply becomes an emergency. Shelter must block wind without creating a new trap. The lee side of a solid vehicle or rock can reduce the direct blast and flying grit. But the steep face of a loose dune can shift, collapse, or funnel sand. A hollow that feels protected may slowly fill around your legs. You choose firm ground, a stable barrier, and a position that does not place heavy cargo, metal panels, or loose equipment directly upwind. Now protect the eyes. Proper goggles matter because ordinary spectacles leave gaps where grit can strike the cornea with every gust. If goggles are lost, turn away from the wind, narrow the eyelids, and shield the face with cloth. Do not keep staring into the storm. Cover the nose and mouth with layered cloth. It can reduce larger grit, but it is not a modern respirator and cannot stop the finest particles. Breathe slowly through the cloth. Fast, frightened breathing pulls more dust inward, dries the mouth, and makes panic feel like suffocation. Cover exposed skin. Wind-driven grains abrade the cheeks, ears, and hands, while dry air steals moisture you cannot afford to lose. Stay low enough to reduce the blast, but keep the airway clear. Do not bury your face in loose sand or dig beneath an unstable slope. The sound becomes a continuous roar. Canvas snaps. Sand rattles against metal. Human voices lose direction, making someone beside you sound far away. The engine is shut down to conserve fuel and reduce dust ingestion. In older machines, abrasive particles can turn a working motor into dead weight. Maps, notebooks, and the compass are sealed under cloth or inside a case. Losing the route record after the storm can be as dangerous as the storm itself. Water containers are capped, wrapped, and kept inside the shelter. A mouthful of sand can contaminate the valve you will depend on later. Do not drink simply because fear makes your mouth dry. Take controlled sips when needed and protect the supply from spills and punctures. The greatest psychological threat is the urge to do something. In a featureless storm, movement creates problems faster than courage can solve them. Without visual references, the inner ear and tired muscles cannot keep a straight course. People can walk in circles while believing they are escaping, so you remain anchored. One hand stays on the rope, one shoulder against shelter, and one voice counts the group at regular intervals. Time becomes unreliable. 10 minutes feels like an hour, and a brief weakening of the wind feels like the storm is finally ending. Dust is not only an obstacle to sight. Fine particles irritate the eyes and airways and can worsen breathing or heart problems in vulnerable people. A cloth helps against grit, but tight shelter and modern filtration would be far better. In 1933, the expedition has neither. If an eye is struck, rubbing can grind particles across the surface. Keep it closed, shield it, and wait for cleaner air before careful rinsing. The storm can also change temperature quickly. Cloud, wind, and dust may cool the air, then brutal heat can return the moment the sky clears. Layering matters. Sweat-soaked clothing can chill in the wind, but removing protection exposes skin and accelerates dehydration when the heat returns. Some walls of dust are driven by thunderstorm outflow. That means violent gusts may arrive with rain, lightning, or sudden runoff beyond the visible sand. A dry channel may look like perfect shelter, but if the storm is connected to rain upstream, that channel can become a flood path. The best refuge is not the deepest depression. It is the most stable barrier on firm ground, away from runoff, loose slopes, and falling equipment. Inside the dust, daylight can become twilight. If evening arrives before the storm clears, moving becomes even more dangerous. Communication becomes simple: names, numbers, and short commands. Long sentences vanish in the wind. A whistle carries better than a frightened shout. 1 blast means answer. 2 means check the rope. 3 means someone is missing. The exact code matters less than agreeing before panic begins. Loose gear begins to vanish under drifting sand. A blanket, a tool, even a water cup may disappear within minutes on the exposed side. Do not break the group to recover replaceable equipment. The desert is offering a trade, an object for a life. Refuse it. Dust enters locks, bearings, food tins, camera housings, and the folds of clothing. The storm attacks not only the body, but every system supporting it. Then the wind drops. The silence feels enormous. But a lull is not proof that the danger has passed. A second gust front can follow the first. You wait, watch the upper air, and test visibility without sending anyone away from shelter. Only when the horizon begins to separate from the ground do you loosen the rope and stand. Even then, the first steps stay close. The first task is not navigation. It is inspection. Count every person, check breathing, protect injured eyes, and confirm that the water is intact. Next, inspect the shelter. Wheels may be banked with sand, fuel lines exposed, air intakes clogged, and the ground around the vehicle softened. Do not start the engine until the intake and moving parts are checked. A few impatient seconds can destroy the machine that carries your water. Now open the compass, not the map. The map shows where the world should be. The compass tells you which way it still is. Tracks are gone. Survey stakes may be buried. Dunes have changed their edges, and familiar shadows now fall from unfamiliar shapes. Never trust a dune as a permanent landmark. Wind builds and cuts it. Rock, compass bearings, measured distance, and known water points are safer references. If the route cannot be confirmed, waiting may still be wiser than guessing. A wrong march consumes water and creates a rescue area hundreds of miles wide. When movement resumes, the goal is not the original schedule. It is the nearest verified refuge, cache, well, or known point that the whole group can reach. The pace is reduced. Water is measured. One person navigates, one checks distance, and the rest watch for heat, illness, and returning dust. By late afternoon, the storm is behind you, but its dust remains in the lungs, the machinery, the food, and every fold of cloth. History remembers deserts as empty spaces. They were never empty. They were systems of wind, distance, water, knowledge, and consequences. The storm did not need to bury you. It only needed to erase the information keeping you alive and persuade you to move before it returned. You survived because you stopped, stayed together, protected breath and sight, chose stable shelter, guarded water, and waited for direction to exist again. But if the wall had reached you 5 minutes earlier, before the truck stopped, before the rope was tied, would discipline have defeated fear? The Sahara has no mercy for confidence without preparation. When the horizon vanishes and every direction looks the same, could you survive this?